Welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for giving us your time today. Today we're covering electronic word of mouth. So we'll be covering specifically, and Tom will go into the agenda in a few minutes, reviews critically. And now I would like to just let you guys know that we can obviously be taking questions just at the end. So put them into the chat or the Q&A box and we'll answer them at the end. My name is Charles Clark. I'm sure I have been in many of your computer screens and webinars, and I'm sure a lot of you will know Tom Wilson as well of BMR. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Charles. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Glad you're here. And for anyone who's not familiar, Tom is the owner and director of BMR, and that's basically a marketing agency based in Australia. And they're a strategic partner of Boma's and also the Gaps. For those of you who are Gappies. And look, he knows the sector really well. He actually spent a long time working in an accounting firm on their marketing. So there's not a lot that he doesn't know about marketing in general, but specifically for accounting firms. And given this background, I think he's really well placed because he's seen firsthand the power of good reviews versus sort of either no reviews. And that's why I thought it'd be great to invite him on here today to talk about why reviews can be so powerful, but also how you can go about getting them, because there is a little bit of sweat, a little bit of effort required, but luckily Tom has a lot of hints and tips and strategies that he's garnered from his experience, and hopefully we'll be able to share some great ways for you to use this to bolster your marketing and obviously the referrals that come from it. So Tom, over to you.
Thank you, Charles. So thank you for the excellent introduction. I appreciate it. And no, it's great to be working with you guys and with the Gap too. As Charles said, I've worked with accounting firms specifically in regards to marketing for a really long time. It's been over 8 years now. And when I first started, I was managing the marketing division of an accounting firm. So through that time, and really it was quick after that I started a marketing business working with accounting firms. So through that time, I've seen everything done, and a lot of the questions I get are things I faced 7 or 8 years ago, and the kinds of things people say: should we be doing social? Should we be doing paid ads? Should we be doing, what should we be doing to get more clients on board? And I've kind of distilled that down over time. And one of the really critical things that I think is important, and that the research shows is important, is what's called EWOM, which if you look up EWOM, you'll find countless peer-reviewed papers out there. So EWOM, that's EWOM. You'll find peer-reviewed papers researching what it is, which it's electronic word of mouth, and that's what it stands for. Essentially, EWOM is all about what people say about you and your business online, which is quickly becoming more important than what people say about you and your business offline, as the younger generation gets older and is more reliant on the online space. People are spending more time working from home and at home. People go online to get their referrals and recommendations less than they just sort of ask in person. Of course, that's still a huge impactful area, as referrals and in-person referrals. But what we're doing here is future-proofing ourselves for what might happen in the next 10 years or so. So what we're going to go through today in terms of the agenda revolving around that is why EWOM is critical, why you'll be left behind if you don't adopt an EWOM strategy. Well, secondly, we'll talk about what the research says. So what do the surveys say? What do peer-reviewed papers say? How is this all backed up by the evidence there? Thirdly, we'll discuss how to actually go and get those referrals. So go and get online referrals is what we call them, which is when people see your reviews online and it makes you the obvious choice. They get in contact with you. So we'll talk about how to build those reviews up. And then we'll talk about what those results look like at the end of the day. So firms that have actually put into place these ideas, what results are they getting? And full disclosure, you have to put in effort. Like any other marketing and like anything where you want to be different than someone else, you have to do something differently. And so we'll talk about what effort that is, but how to minimize that and how to process that, because I think none of us really mind putting the work in. As long as we can systematize it, ideally give it to someone in our team to help with as well, and set and forget a little bit too, so that it's set up at the start, but then it works going on, sort of like an evergreen strategy. One thing I'd like to do is open with a question, though. I think you can all put in the chat there your answers here. So if you could just pop in, if you have a feedback system for your business, that could be any type. That could be a SurveyMonkey feedback system that was set up 10 years ago, and you don't know if you're actually getting feedback from it anymore. But if you have a feedback system, just pop it into the chat, and I'll see if I can open that up and see who does have one. But put it in there and let me know if you feel like that's working for you. But the other question I want to pose to everyone today is, we all get referrals. They're probably 95% of the work that you get these days, or 90%. But when a client or a prospective client is unhappy with their accountant and starts to get referrals for a new accountant, or starts to listen to people who talk about their accountant, how many recommendations do you think that they get? Do you think it's just like for a client that comes to you? Do you think that you're the only one that they received? Or do you think that they maybe received 2, 3, 4, or even looked online at some other businesses too before moving their, $1+ or $5+ million turnover business to a new accountant? I just want you to think about that as we go through this this presentation today, and just sort of keep that in the back of your mind. So the first thing I want to talk about is why EWOM is critical. So it's the same reason marketing is near and dear to every business owner. If you can make it rain, then your problem is just getting the work done at the end of the day. And EWOM is critical because it helps make it rain. When someone is referred, and if they are referred, and if you believe me when I say this, that they're referred maybe 2 or 3 other accounting firms at the same time as being referred yours by different friends who have different accountants, at the end of the day, they're looking at all of these businesses. And if you don't have a really strong online image and another firm does, well, they're going to be the obvious choice. You might still get the call, but you might be missing out on quite a number of referrals that you just don't even know that you're missing because the person never contacted you. So the key thing to remember there is that people are quickly looking online a lot more than they used to. So, I mean, it's evident, right? Like people don't, they say that the 3 things that are most scary to the youngest generation these days are shark attacks, public speaking, and speaking to other people generally, right? So people are jumping online and trying to do everything to avoid in-person communication. And that's a trend that's rising as the age groups rise. But, we now have self-checkout at supermarkets. And if you ask the younger generation, a lot of them love it because they don't have to stand there and talk to someone at the checkout. A lot of people order everything online, especially even toilet paper throughout COVID. That was important. Most meetings are online. Look at us doing a webinar here. I don't think people are going to as many seminars in person anymore. They're going to online events, and that's possible now. We interact less offline and we interact more online. So if you think about that, do you think that will affect accounting firms? Absolutely, it will. And I would say that all of you would agree it already has. I'd say that a lot of you are doing a lot more online meetings with your clients, especially since COVID, than you were in the past. So it's important that when people are referred to a few accounting firms, your online presence is really strong. And what do people believe a lot more than anything else? When there's more marketing noise now than there has ever been, and tomorrow there'll be even more marketing noise out there, especially with the advent of AI and people putting more content out than they've been able to previously do. What cuts through is, surprise, surprise, referrals and recommendations. And so if you have a trusted platform where you're getting real stories told by your clients about how you've helped them, then it's so much more powerful than you sort of just writing on your website that you're the best accounting firm, or that you're different, or that your service is of a higher standard than someone else. Here's the key take-home message there. Nobody cares what you say about your business. They care about what other people say about their business. I mean, how many times have you heard a director sit there and go, well, I think this is a great movie. I think I've outdone myself. And this is fantastic. Only for you to watch and go, what was that? I think that, but the amount of times if you hear 4 or 5 people say, hey, I watched this movie, I watched this Netflix series and it was fantastic, you've got to watch it, you probably go out of your way to watch it. And it's no different to someone looking online for a new accountant. They've been referred a few, they've checked out your online profile. If you've got the 50, 60 Google reviews, say, is the first thing someone sees and no one's typing in your your URL directly into their browser. They're typing in your business name, and what shows up? Your Google business listing. And what's the first thing they see? Is how many stars you have. And people are conditioned. You know, when you go, probably no different to me. And actually, I was with my dad the other day, and he was doing this. My he's almost 70 years old now. And I was walking down the street with him, and you know, we wanted to go get a coffee. We're going to go to an air show here in Australia, and I'm just like, oh, well, how about we just pop in here? Because I didn't think we had that much time. And he's on his phone already, and he's going, no way, this place is 3.9 stars. Like, I think there's a 4.5 just up the road. We'll be able to go. Like, you'd be surprised the people that are jumping on and looking at Google reviews, but they're conditioned to do that. And so when it's no different when looking up a service provider, and they'll see the star rating there, and you've got to make sure yours is good and that you have a good, decent amount of reviews on there too. The research actually backs that up as well. And we talk about sort of what cuts through the noise. And that is that online reviews, so online recommendations posted by your clients in a trusting manner. So the other thing I'll say here is that in 10 years, every firm will face one of these situations. They'll either have great online reviews and they'll be happy that they started to develop those, or they'll be wondering, how do I get reviews quickly? Because I'm losing clients to some of these online firms that have embraced the online sphere, are doing Zoom meetings with their clients all the time and have hundreds and hundreds of reviews. So I think you'll find yourself in one of those situations. And the key is to future-proof yourself and start now. Before, you know, in 10 years, we'll have a whole different set of business owners. That many businesses will have passed on to their children as well. And it's all about working out what to do now to adapt to that situation, so that when people look your firm up, you have a very convincing profile to start off with. And that will all be because of electronic word of mouth. You'll start to hear that term a lot more in the coming years. That's the technical term for it, electronic word of mouth. What people say about you online, your online reputation, and what happens when people type your firm into a search engine and they see your profile there. So in terms of the statistics, this is sort of the second part of the agenda that I wanted to go on to today. You know, since COVID, the interactions with businesses that are entirely done online has skyrocketed. But even before that, it was still high. And even after COVID, so at 2023, and then the 2033 estimates is showing that it's growing rapidly, even now that COVID is really over, so to speak. But before 2020, 56% of all business interactions were entirely online. In 2023, that number jumped up to 61%. And you can extrapolate those years out and say that by 2033, we'll be looking at potentially 86% of all interactions with any business being done online only. So if you kind of look at that number, you go, wow, what is our online strategy? How do we make sure that we're the obvious provider of choice when people are looking up different firms online? And the other scenario I want to pose to you there is, what happens when you type in a business name onto Google, or like, you know, someone looks up your name? Is they're actually not just showing your business, they're showing two other businesses that are near you on Google Maps as well, just by the way Google works. And what happens if your clients, you know, are going along and you know, they keep doing that and they seeing that pop up, or not clients, but even prospective clients looking you up online, and they're checking you out and they see you, but then they see underneath you someone with 3 times, 4 times as many reviews, way better reviews as well, you know, 5 stars and really good stories on there. Even if they haven't been referred to that firm, they're probably going to go get a quote from them anyway, because it's entirely convincing to see that there. And out are the old, it used to be that when people created websites, it's, oh, we'll put in your testimonial section. And I love this. I love seeing this on people's websites. And some people might still have this to these days, is you got the floating head there with the little, what looks like a stock image of someone, or it's definitely a stock image of someone smiling. And then a little speech bubble. And it's like, this person really helped me with my business, blah, 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 blah. People don't believe those anymore because it's not verified. You can just build that into a website. They all look different. They're not standardized. Whereas, you know, Google reviews, for example, Google's very vigilant in deleting fake reviews, and they're pretty good at building a system to stop that as well. So people trust Google reviews. And it's like the coffee example I used earlier. even the older generation trusts it. I mean, I would be confident in saying a lot of the people in this call today, any of all age ranges, would have used Google Maps and Google reviews before to pick a local service business, whether it's a bond cleaner for your house, whether it's a coffee store, whether it's a restaurant. I was just overseas, and everywhere you go overseas, you look at reviews because it's totally foreign as an area to you. And you might think, well, that's different to the accounting sphere, but it's growing. People are getting used to looking at online reviews, and it really matters, even if they've been referred to you and some other businesses, how you appear online. So that shift is certainly happening. Here's some other statistics to look at just around that. This isn't just my opinion. This is actually being studied and peer reviewed. 92.5% of people are more likely to buy after reading a business to business review. So we're just talking about business to business transactions here. And this was of thousands of people surveyed. I've just put the journal that it was published in down the bottom here. 95% of people said they make an effort to read online reviews before purchasing a service. So this isn't products, looking at TVs and laptops online. This is a service. So that's your local service businesses, your accounting, even, looking at all sorts of professional services. And of that, so 94% also said that reviews have made them avoid a business, interestingly enough. So and I've seen this plenty of times with accounting firms, a lot of people will contact me because they've got, say, 5 reviews sitting there on Google, and one of them is 1 star. And the fact of the matter is, some people are impossible to please. That's a client that you've done everything in your power to make happy, probably barely charged anything to, and they've still left you a smear on your Google reviews rating there. And people often ask me, how do we get rid of that? And the answer is you can't. And that's part of what makes Google reviews so trustworthy. People see something like that and go, oh, they can't remove that. It just sits there. So the answer to that is to build positive reviews around that and respond to that review. Because people will, if they just see that and they'll see a negative review, and if you haven't even responded to it, then they'll kind of go, well, I mean, it's unlikely, but what if that happens to me? They're not even responding. And there's not many other reviews on there too. Do they really care about their reputation? If something bad happens to me, they're going to say, well, whatever, see you later. You're not a big client anyway. These questions are things that subconsciously run through people's minds. So it's important to have a really strong reputation there. And the answer is, again, if there's one negative review and you've replied saying, look, here's the situation, we've tried everything to make you happy and we will continue to try and make you happy. Like, please contact us. We really want to help. That's so different to just silence, and nothing said there, and a couple of other positive reviews, but really like only 2 or 3 of them. And then you couple that response with it going and getting another 20, 30, 40 positive reviews where people are saying how you've genuinely changed their life, which I bet you do, because accountants do that. Like, someone writing a review could be someone where you've just saved them a lot more on tax than they thought they were going to have to pay, and now their kid can stay in the school that they're at. I mean, how impactful is that on someone's life? And if you have the ability for that person, or you make it easy for them to leave a review then, and they tell that story, how convincing is that, as opposed to posting a big headline on your website that says, we're the best accountants and we're very responsive and that sort of thing. I mean, when you sort of when I look at the last 8 years I've spent in this industry, that is what is convincing. That's what gets people to call you. And that's what makes you the obvious choice out of the 3 people they've been referred to when they were looking for a new accountant. So just onto this slide, 58, the last figure of this slide, another 58% said they're willing to pay more for products with good reviews, or services, that should say, with good reviews. So I think that's, a lot of people really resonate with that, because I think that, none of us want price sensitive clients. Probably not a lot of us want that many tax return clients. A lot of us are looking for businesses probably about $1 million plus turnover. Those are the sweet businesses to have on board. And businesses that are willing to pay more for good service, and especially advisory services too, which we really want to push out as well. So if we've got great reviews there, we just make it even more convincing for people to go, well, they charge a higher price, but look at it, they're worth it. I mean, look at all the reviews that they have. And it's no different to the psychology of you going to any business and paying more for a coffee, paying that $1 extra because it's better. And because they have 4.9 stars, but the other place had 3.5. Do I want a good or a bad coffee? I'm willing to pay the difference. Do I want a good or a bad accountant? I'm willing to pay the difference. And I think that that's the psychology that we all have to pay attention to. So the average customer, this is to answer that question I posed at the start, the average customer will actually gather 3 to 4 recommendations before making a decision. And over 80% of the time, they'll get an independent quote too. So remember I mentioned that people might look you up and see 2 other firms below you with better reviews, which Google's going to prioritize showing. Well, I mean, that could be scary, but also think, what if you're that firm? What if the 2 other or 3 other accounting firms near you don't have great reviews and you do? And every time someone's referred to those firms, they see you popping up underneath them with great reviews, with a full profile, pictures of your team, with a very strong online presence and very strong reviews. You know, you're going to start to see a lot more referrals come through, and you're going to think, great, we're getting more referrals. But the reality is those referrals were just going out there. You've just capitalized on that. You're just not leaving any money on the table anymore. You're bringing those through the door. The people that are referred to multiple firms come to you. The people that are referred to the firm down the road end up getting a quote from you too. And so you just get more leads at the end of the day. And this isn't an expensive marketing program. You're not out there doing, ads and paying $5 per click or more to Google. I mean, it's interesting some of the amounts of money that you'll pay for a click on Google. A good example, QuickBooks, Xero. I'm sure we're all familiar with them. Mile. The average that those companies pay for a single click on one of their Google ads is close to $100. And you can see that if you go onto the Google Ads software, you can have a look. And the reason is because if someone clicks and becomes an accounting software client, they're not going to switch. They're with them for a very long time. So they make a lot of money off that person. So clicks are very valuable. But as an accounting firm, you might pay $5 or $10 for a click to come through. But this is just building on what you already have. All of those warm prospects that are already checking out your business, looking at what you've got online and looking for those really good reviews. So you just capitalize on that. And another thing to pay attention to there is, and we've obviously got, here with Charles today and with Boma, people are looking at your social presence. So another thing to look at is, what do you have online? So they see great reviews, and then they see your website, but they kind of go, are these guys active online? Are they living? Are they breathing? When they check out your online profile, and if they see your Facebook and they see your LinkedIn pop up on Google there, which they will, and they go there and they see these great articles about the latest tax changes, about the budget that was just released or will be released this week in New Zealand, was released a few weeks ago in Australia. They see that you've got a guide on there. They see that you're making sense of this whole thing. Doesn't that make them feel like they're going to get a better experience than going to a dated website and no social media profiles and no blogs and no information that you're putting out? People want a good experience. And if you're just not providing them the evidence or the clues that you're going to give them that, then they'll go to the other recommendation that they have. So I think something to consider is that the new client journey starts before your door. And so what do I mean by that? So think about it. We rarely think about the journey that the client's actually been on before they come in. You get a referral, someone calls up and says, hey, John from my law firm, who referred you, and I just thought I'd come in and have a meeting with you guys. You don't really think about necessarily where they came from along that journey, but the reality is John from the law firm said, check these guys out. Mark, their neighbor said, I've got a great accounting firm for my business, check these guys out. And, the person's checked a few people out. But there's only 2 reasons people will actually leave their existing account. And that's either because they're so pissed off with them, they've done something to annoy them. They've maybe not been communicating about their tax, not communicated about their liabilities, and they've got a much bigger tax bill than they expected, and communication was just poor. Or maybe they're new. Maybe they are the plumber who was previously sitting down with his wife and doing their bookkeeping and trying to manage their own accounting software at night. And it's all just become too much, and they've reached the high enough level of turnover. They just say, I want an accountant now. And you're ready to sit there and grow with that business. So that's the other reason they leave and find an accountant, and then they ask for referrals. So what happens before they get to your door? They ask their parents, they ask their friends for referrals, they look online. And as we said before, 89% of people surveyed said that they seek multiple referrals. So that's not just an idea, that's reality. We all do it. So if you saw these four firms pop up when you were looking for an accountant, which one would you give a call to, right? And just keep in mind, let's say you've looked up an accountant in your area, or you've looked up a specific firm and these guys have also shown up too. So this one with no ratings or reviews, an accountant in Auckland. These ones with 32 reviews, 5 stars, some nice photos there. We don't just have the pulled from Google Street View image there. Then you've got these guys with 1.1 star but there's 50 reviews there, so that's probably a little bit worrying. Or these guys with 2 5-star reviews, no profile there. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it, which stands out? You've got this second firm here with 32 5-star reviews there. I mean, you know, if you're referred to this firm or this firm or this firm, the first, the third, or the fourth, you're probably going to give a call to the second one as well, or just check them out at least. There probably warrants a visit to their website. And if their website then converts and looks good, you know, and they got their 50 plus years in business here, you'll probably give them a call and get a quote from them too. So what if that was you, is what I want to stress to you. What if that could be you, and you started to get more referrals, and referrals through the door that are warm, that aren't, I'm just shopping around. It's, I should be so lucky to be a client of yours. I mean, you're the best reviewed in town, you know, it's like the best restaurant in town. Sorry, we don't have any bookings tonight. So, you know, I should have booked in advance. Like, you become in demand, your posture completely changes, and price sensitivity just goes out the window. It's not a thing, because we're the ones that you should be lucky to be chatting with. That's how it sort of goes. So how do you get more E1? Well, you create a feedback system. How do you get more referrals and work online? Create a simple feedback system, and you do it the easy way. And so this is a way that we've developed. There's multiple ways to do this. It doesn't just have to be this way, but this is what we found works well, and is low touch. You don't have to sit there and put hours and hours into it. You develop some QR codes, or we develop QR codes and tap cards. So tap cards are what you can tap to someone's phone and it brings up a web page. In this case, your customer feedback portal. You put links to your customer feedback portal that you make and brand as well in your end of year packages and your email signatures, everywhere that you communicate with your clients. You put these QR codes on your anything printed that you send out to clients too. You can even include it in your letterhead. We see some really great results from people doing that. By making yourself available, you'll catch people at the right time. So when they're so happy, when you've just saved the money on tax and they go, yeah, I will actually leave a positive review now, and you get them to do that because it's there in the communications. You can also proactively send templates requesting feedback and reviews. So we would provide templates as part of this, is what we suggest. Templates which you give to your team, and you say, hey guys, in each of our weekly meetings, we're going to catch up about how many reviews you requested from clients too. Might only be 2 or 3, but that could translate to 1 new review per week per team member, and you could suddenly be way further ahead than you were in the past. And the last part there is automatic email review requests. So we have a system as part of this, which I'm describing to you, which will also email out to your clients automatically on a timely basis, not to annoy them, but you know, every now and then to say, hey, would you mind leaving a review? And if they've already left a review, it won't ask them again. So when you set a system up like that, you don't just get a system that gives you good Google reviews, you get one that gives you feedback in general. And if you're not asking for feedback from your clients, and how do you know if they're happy? How do you know if your team members are performing? So outside of getting Google reviews for your clients, which is what that system will help you do, you're just getting good feedback for how you're going with your customers as well, and then translating that to good reviews. Now, what about negative reviews? Well, the thing about negative reviews is some people would complain that ice cream is too cold. Like, you can't improve, you just cannot please everybody. And a good example that I found, and I was saying this to Charles before the call, this is something I actually find really funny to do. Like, if you want to laugh, go look at the Google reviews for your local police station or magistrate's court. They're hilarious, right? Or the Pacific Ocean even has Google reviews. But here's some reviews from the Eiffel Tower. From Mio here, too many French people, 1 star. Another one, the color was not so good. I'd prefer more of a white or red. So sorry, they didn't make it custom for you. From Grace Ferrari here, I went there and got drunk on wine. Then they rudely told me to leave because it wasn't safe. I don't understand why, but I went the next day and they let me on. I was perfectly fine the next day and the day before. Well, this last one here, nice metal poking thing you got there. There you go. Great feedback there, Alex. So look, people are going to leave negative feedback, even if you've given them an outstanding service. Even they'll leave negative feedback about the Eiffel Tower not being the color that they wanted. So what our system that we've developed does is to answer this for accountants, for businesses, is when people scan your QR code or click the link in your email signature or click the link you've sent to them, or you tap this card here, this physical card to their phone, and it brings up this review portal. What happens is if people leave a 1-star review, what they're first directed to do is say, thank you for your feedback. We've taken it on board, and that will be sent to the owner who will respond to you. And that's what happens if they leave 1 to 3 stars on this system. So they select 1 star, 2 star, I wasn't happy, and they type in their feedback. It goes to you privately, and it doesn't just go onto your Google page. But if they do leave a 5-star review and they're really happy with their service, and they send that through, it'll take them straight to your Google profile, and they can just copy and paste. And we even give a little button for them to do that, to just copy and paste that review into your Google profile. And so you're protected. Basically, I mean, the thing to note here is people don't usually want to blast you. Sometimes they do, but they don't usually want to blast you online for providing bad service. But they want you to know. And if you don't provide any other way for them to give you that feedback, apart from directly emailing you, which people don't want to do, that's a lot of conflict, then they're kind of forced to leave it online on your Google profile. And that's how you get that one-star review. And you just maybe have 3 or 4 other 5-star reviews. So catch negative reviews before they go public is what I want to stress there. So what that is the latest technology. It's using tap cards, it's using online systems, it's using a customized feedback portal for your business to gather reviews from your clients. Now, like anything in marketing, it doesn't just run itself. Like you'll have to put participation into this, but you can easily get your team to jump on board with this. So what we do is we say, hey, we've set up your portal, we've given you a login, we've got all of this set up for you now, and we'll even send you some tap cards, and we can send you even little QR codes to stick in your meeting rooms too, so that if you're with a client, you can just say, hey, would you mind leaving a review, and they can pull it up. And it's all about making it as easy as possible for the customer to leave that review. We all know how many of you have left 5-star reviews to businesses. Some people are good at it, some people aren't. But if you're sitting there and you're overwhelmed and really happy, and there's a QR code in front of you that brings straight up this review portal, you'll probably leave a review, or you're much more likely to leave a review. If someone comes by and says, you know, hey, or you have a meeting and they say, oh, look, we'd love a review. You go, yeah, no worries, happy to do that. And then you walk out the door and you forget about it. But if you scan the QR code and you got it up on your phone, you get home, you open your phone, oh, yeah, I'll write my review out, because it's still there. It's still sitting there as an open page on your phone. So same with the emails. Yes, really happy with that email. Click the link, leave a review. So if you'd like, more than happy to start for you to start an EWOM trial. That QR code takes you to the website, or you can go there on ewom.com.au. Basically, you just sign up, you get 30 days for free, and you can cancel anytime in those 30 days. It's really easy. So you can just try it out, see if it's for you or not. But the idea is putting a system in place is something that over the next 5 years, you'll then just grow your firm's reviews to a really, really great level. Would also suggest a couple of other things. With that, we normally have a call with you to say, hey, here's how you get your team on board. Here's how you can skyrocket it in a short period of time if you want to. Like we had a firm that went from 20 reviews to they have 106 now, and that happened in about 2 years. And they did a couple of really good campaigns. We helped them with their staff to get them asking for reviews of competitions and things like that. So you can get really, really, really proactive about it too, and boost your reviews massively, or you can leave it on autopilot and gather a couple of reviews a month and just build that up over time, whilst not feeling unsafe about people leaving bad reviews for you. So what if ultimately, what happens if we start to get our reviews up and get a lot more people leaving 5-star reviews for us on Google? Well, suddenly those people that see you online that have been referred to a number of firms, they're picking you. You're the obvious choice. It just makes sense. People who are referred to the firm down the road, they see you pop up and they're going to give you a go. They're much more likely to give you a call and say, I want to get a quote from you as well. I've been referred to these other people. There are so many other benefits though that are besides that. So we all probably want to show up first, even when just someone in the area, the local business, the cafe store that just opened up, or whatever it may be, when they're looking for an accountant, Google reviews are the most important signal that you can send to Google to push you up the rankings, to be number one when someone searches for an accountant in the kilometer or 2 kilometer radius around you. I mean, there are that many accounting firms I speak to that say, God, I drive past all of these little mechanics and businesses. I see them on the way to work. And I think, why can't they be my client? I'm just down the road. Do they even know that I exist? Getting these reviews is going to be an easy way to push you up to the top of those rankings over time. And Google loves it because it's not easy to fake. You can't just kind of manipulate your site and change things to get great reviews necessarily. You've got to be proactive, you've got to put a system in place. So Google really likes that. And so to give you a couple of examples, I've seen firms go from roughly 40K a year of work won to about 98 per year in new work that is exclusively sourced from where people say, well, I saw your Google reviews or I saw you on Google. And that doesn't include referrals where they could name a referral source, like a particular person, because they're really good at asking for that. And you could easily see a 10% growth per year in total fees. I've seen that before. And if people say, oh, look, it is really hard, I don't know how many good reviews I could get. I was talking to someone about this yesterday. We have firms that have 30 or 40 staff that are at 100, 200 plus reviews even. But we also have one-man band operators who are at over 75 reviews as of yesterday when I checked them up. So it's entirely possible if you get proactive about it. But if you want to leave it there and build it in the background, that's also fine. So what's next? And this is what we would strongly suggest is, look, we have the E1 system. You can pop that in as we had that before, but I strongly suggest you sign up for Boma's 14-day trial. I mean, Boma is a game changer. For those of you who don't have content that's going out regularly and don't want to spend the time on that, because it can be time consuming, very time consuming, you can get high quality content straight away. And Charles, did you want to just chat a bit about what Boma's offering as well and how you guys work?
Yeah, exactly. And look, for those of you who are already on Boma, we will be getting to your questions in just a minute. We've already got 4 or 5 lined up. So I'll just reiterate, do put any questions that you had into that Q&A. But yeah, so just back onto Boma. So we've got the content library. It's specific to your location. So if you're in Australia, you'll be getting everything that's Australian specific. And obviously in New Zealand, we've got the budget coming out this week. And so, on Friday morning, there'll be commentary and insights on that budget. So the content's always up to date. The nice thing is that you can also customize it. We've got Content Assist, which is our generative AI feature, which we just launched a couple of weeks ago. And so that sort of makes the customization even easier now that you can sort of just tell ChatGPT, which we have now built into Boma, what you want it to do. I suppose one other thing just to mention, and a little bit like the EWOM, there will be times where you don't have the resource or maybe it's the capabilities within your firm to do something like this. So we do offer a managed service in conjunction with Tom and Better Marketing Results. So, if you want us to handle, your content marketing, your social, your emails, your newsletters, SEO optimization, obviously EWOM, that's definitely a conversation that we can have. And we've got that consultation QR code down there. And I will just add, Tom, just before we sort of get into questions, I think Tom gave a really great insight as to why, it's not just restaurants that need reviews, it's really everyone needs reviews. And it sort of used to be a nice to have, it's now really a need to have. And I think also Tom did make the point that, consistency in your marketing efforts or consistency when it comes to getting these results is key. There's no quick way to sort of to get fit. You need to put a little bit of effort in on that consistent basis. And look, this might be, I'm not saying it's kind of 10 hours a week. Maybe for some of you, it's half an hour a week. If it's a regular half an hour that you can devote to a little bit of marketing or to sort of getting your reviews working a little bit better, over time, that really adds up. And that's sort of those incremental gains over time, a little bit like compound interest. But if you invest it, it will pay off over time. Just to reiterate, though, that it's always a marathon, not a sprint. So, 2 weeks of activity, whether it's social or doing a couple of blogs, that's not going to change, your outcomes in terms of referrals and growth. You really need to be playing the longer game. So, Tom, should we get into these questions? And probably they're mostly for you. So why don't I read them out?
Sure.
And you can take them. So the first one is, are E1 comments searchable? And I'm assuming that
Yes.
refers to sort of on Google and things like that.
Yes, absolutely. So, and actually, that's an interesting question because what your clients write about you in your review directly influences, like the words they use, directly influences where you on how you show up in Google searches. If they write, uh, Tom Wilson is my accountant in Brisbane, and he really helps me with X, Y, and Z. That's a huge ranking factor for you to show up first for accountant in Brisbane because you didn't write it, you didn't manipulate that. Someone else wrote that about you. And Google's great. I mean, that they know when it's a fake review. You know, that they're very. I can get into that, but they're very good at detecting that and taking those down. So yes, they're definitely searchable. And Charles, I might just quickly add to, because I saw there was not really a question, but Rebecca Gray said yes, review requests automatically sent after invoices generated through Bird Eye platform. Just the Bird Eye platform can cost, I'm not sure about it, maybe if you're on a different deal, but a couple of $100 per month, whereas EWOM is $69 per month. So just something to consider there. It does basically the same thing as Bird Eye. Bird Eye is a great platform, just very expensive. So yeah, and hopefully that answers your question, Peter, as well.
Hmm. Nice. And if I suppose, and this one is more maybe if we didn't have an EWOM system in place, how should a firm go about encouraging clients to post to Google if you didn't have sort of the EWOM in place?
Yeah, so you would basically, you can go and create a link for customers to go straight to your Google review profile. And I'm happy to help show people how to do that. And you could send that to your clients and say, would you mind leaving a review? And that's fine. I think someone else popped into the comment too that, sometimes they just ask people directly for reviews when they've done a good job. And that's fine. And that would be the best way to go about that. The problem with that is that if you're asking people to leave reviews, directly to Google, you can't really publish that just everywhere. You couldn't, a lot of people don't want to just put that on their invoices, on their emails going out, just in case they do catch that person at the wrong time. And people are often a lot more likely to leave a negative review than a positive review if they have a bad experience. And then you're not protected. They'll just go straight to your Google review profile and blast you. So the idea is this is providing a safeguard, which makes you then comfortable to put your review link everywhere. But that's how you would do it otherwise, is just with a direct link to your Google profile and sending that out in whatever way you like to customers.
The next question is, what happens if clients don't have Gmail? Can they still provide a Google review? Look, I can take this one. In my vast experience, anyone from using any sort of email, as long as they can get onto the link that you provided, like the Google link, they can go on there and leave it. That's right, isn't it, Tom?
Yep, that's right. But the EWOM system answers that too, in that sometimes you'll have people that want to leave feedback, but they actually don't want to leave it publicly. And so if you give them an option to do that, which EWOM does too, then you get that valuable feedback from the customer as well, even just anonymously. So it's kind of just a feedback system in that sense, as well as being a positive review generation system.
And that's really valuable. That's sort of almost like a net promoter score, just always sort of understanding where your clients are and to sort of like an early warning system, both if things are going really well, that maybe if you've made some change within the business, that those are starting to pay off, or equally, if you're starting to get some negative comments, you can triage them and sort of hopefully address them, in terms of your processes and maybe, the service that you're providing, but you can do it in a way that's sort of proactive and also personal rather than kind of having them go up live and then, someone else says, oh, did you realize that you've got these negative reviews?
Yeah. Well,
That everyone can see.
that's exactly it. And a lot of people don't realize when they get new reviews as well and that sort of thing. So there's a whole lot more. If you have a look on the website about the EWOM system, you get monthly reports on positive feedback. So as Charles said, Net Promoter Score, you just get an email. Here's the feedback that was left last month. You can go and see who then left a review on Google, but you can understand how you're going, how your business is actually going in an automated way. And then you can also, as part of the system, live link your Google reviews through to your website. So you're not always updating your website with testimonials. It just pulls through automatically as all part of this software. So it's worth checking out, but you can see it on the website.
I think the final one, unless anyone else would like to sort of pop one in just before we go over time. So this is more, I suppose, of a comment, Tom. So be interesting to get your view on it. So this person was told that we should not advertise Google reviews to just everyone and our sort of everyday signatures. For example, as that may attract bad reviews. We proactively just contact those clients that say something nice in an email, a template while it's hot. What's your perspective?
Yeah, so well, I think that's kind of the idea behind building a system behind this is that you don't have to worry about those negative reviews coming through because 99% of the time those people just want to be heard. And if most businesses I chat to, they want to hear them. They want to know if someone's not happy with the service. They really do. But they're personally attacked kind of if that person just throws that onto their Google profile because then they're not making a complaint to the front desk, so to speak. They're putting a big banner up outside your business and saying, don't go here. So, you want the feedback, but you just don't want them to blast you. And that's why this system comes in and allows people to do that. And in our experience using it, it negates. I don't think I've ever seen someone go through the system and then post that negative review on Google afterwards as well. They send it through, you deal with it privately, and everybody's happy. So yeah, I would be a bit careful about just sending out and linking people straight to your review profile all the time for the reason I mentioned before. There could be a misunderstanding and they could be in the heat of the moment and leave you a bad review on Google. So you want to be able to catch that, which is, yeah, a system like this.
Fantastic. Well, look, I think we're just a minute or two over time, but I think we'll wrap it up there unless anyone has a burning question that they want to pop in. Tom, really, really valuable. I think hopefully everyone who attended today will get some good insights that they can go and put into their business. We will be sending out a recording tomorrow, and so obviously feel free to share it around colleagues or obviously other people you know within the business who may benefit from this insight into E1. So again, yeah, thank you so much, Tom, and thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thanks everyone. See you later.